1943, rural Minnesota. A farmer builds a small cabin to survive the war years. He has no money, no modern materials, no insulation from the hardware store. What he does have is dirt. Free dirt from his own land. He piles that dirt against the walls of his cabin. He stacks sod on the roof. He positions the structure into a hillside. Total cost for insulation, $0. That cabin is still standing today. 80 years later, the walls have never been replaced. The heating bills have always been a fraction of modern homes. Meanwhile, your house built in 2010 already needs new insulation. Your heating bills climb every single year. Your walls are full of fiberglass that sags, compresses, and loses our value over time. What did that farmer know that we have forgotten? Today I am going to reveal 8 insulation and heating secrets from the World War II era. Secrets that cost almost nothing. Secrets that lasted generations. And secrets that the modern building industry does not want you to remember. Number 1. Earth sheltering and berming. This is the zero-cost method that lasted 50 years, and it is exactly what it sounds like. You pile dirt against your walls. During World War II, building materials were rationed. Insulation was expensive or unavailable. But dirt was everywhere, and dirt happens to be one of the best insulators on the planet. Here is the science. The ground temperature below the frost line stays constant year-round. In most of North America, that temperature is between 50 and 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Not warm, but not freezing either. When you pile earth against your walls, you connect your home to that stable underground temperature. In winter, 55 degrees feels warm compared to 0 outside. In summer, 55 degrees feels cool compared to 95 outside. The Department of Energy confirms that earth-sheltered homes can reduce heating and cooling costs by 50 to 80% compared to conventional construction. 50 to 80% with dirt. World War II builders took this even further. They built into hillsides. They created berms around foundations. Some buried entire structures with only the south-facing wall exposed. The result? Homes that required minimal heating, even in brutal northern winters. Why did we forget this? Because post-war America wanted modern. They wanted new materials. They wanted above-ground ranches with picture windows. Nobody wanted to live in a dirt house. Number 2, sod and turf roofs. If earth sheltering was the walls, sod roofs were the ceiling. A traditional sod roof starts with wooden beams covered by birch bark or tar paper for waterproofing. On top of that, builders laid strips of living turf, grass, roots, soil, and all. The typical sod roof was 6 to 12 inches thick. That translates to an R value of roughly 15 to 25, not exceptional by modern standards. But here's what the R value does not capture. A living roof breathes. In summer, the grass actively cools through evapotranspiration. Water evaporates from the soil and plants, pulling heat away from the structure below. Studies show sod roofs can be 40 to 60 degrees cooler than conventional roofing materials on hot days. In winter, the soil provides thermal mass. It absorbs heat during sunny days and releases it slowly at night. Snow accumulation adds additional insulation, sometimes doubling the effective R value and the lifespan. A properly maintained sod roof lasts 50 to 100 years. Compare that to asphalt shingles that need replacement every 15 to 20 years. The cost during World War II, nearly zero. Grass was free, soil was free. Labor was the only investment. Today, green roofs are making a comeback in high-end sustainable architecture. Architects charge premium prices for the same technique that broke farmers used for free 80 years ago. The knowledge never left. The marketing just got more expensive. Number 3, thermal mass of log walls. Modern building codes measure insulation by R value. The higher the R value, the better the insulation. Simple, right? Wrong. R value only measures resistance to heat flow. It completely ignores thermal mass. And thermal mass is exactly what made log cabins so effective. A solid log wall has an R value of roughly 1.4 per inch. A 6-inch log gives you about R8. Modern code requires R13 to R21 for walls. By R value alone, logs seem terrible. But here is what the code misses. Thermal mass stores heat. A massive log wall absorbs warmth during the day, holds it for hours, and releases it slowly at night. This creates a natural temperature regulation cycle that fiberglass walls cannot replicate. Oak Ridge National Laboratory tested this phenomenon. They found that log homes performed 15 to 20% better than their R-value predicted. In some climates, logs matched or exceeded the performance of code-compliant insulated walls. The Department of Energy eventually acknowledged this reality. They now allow alternative compliance paths for log construction that account for thermal mass benefits. But here is the conspiracy. For decades, building codes penalized log construction. Inspectors failed log homes for insufficient R-value. Banks refused mortgages. Insurance companies charged premiums. An industry built around selling insulation products had no incentive to admit that solid wood walls worked just fine. World War II builders did not care about R-value. They cared about staying warm. And their log homes did exactly that. Number 4. Central chimney placement. Walk into any colonial-era home, any log cabin from the 1800s, any farmhouse built before World War II. Where is the chimney? Dead center. Now walk into any home built after 1950. Where is the fireplace? On an exterior wall, often in a corner, sometimes with the chimney running up the outside of the house. This single change wasted billions of dollars in heating costs over the past 70 years. Here is why central placement matters. A chimney is a massive column of brick or stone. When you burn a fire, that masonry absorbs enormous amounts of heat. If the chimney sits in the center of your home, that stored heat radiates into your living spaces for hours after the fire dies. If the chimney sits on an exterior wall, half of that stored heat radiates outside. You are literally heating the outdoors. Colonial builders understood this instinctively. The massive central chimney was the heart of the home. Multiple rooms connected to it. Heat radiated in all directions. A single fire warmed the entire structure. Post-war builders prioritized aesthetics. They wanted open floor plans. They wanted picture windows on every wall. The fireplace became decorative, pushed to the perimeter. The result: modern fireplaces that actually create net heat loss. The draft pulls warm air up the chimney faster than the fire produces heat. Central placement was not tradition, it was engineering, and we abandoned it for style. Number 5. Masonry heaters. This is the heating technology that should have conquered America. Instead, it was buried. A masonry heater is a massive stone or brick structure with an internal maze of channels. You burn a small, intense fire for 1 to 2 hours. The combustion gases travel through those channels, transferring heat to the surrounding masonry. Then the structure radiates that stored heat for 12 to 24 hours. The efficiency is staggering. A conventional fireplace captures about 10 to 20% of the heat from burning wood. 80 to 90% goes up the chimney. A masonry heater captures 75 to 90%. The Masonry Heater Association documents efficiency ratings that make modern furnaces look wasteful. During World War II, European immigrants brought this technology to America. Finnish contraflow heaters, Russian pechka stoves, German Kachelofens, these families heated entire homes through brutal winters with a fraction of the fuel their neighbors used. So why did masonry heaters disappear? Follow the money. A masonry heater costs more upfront, but requires almost no ongoing fuel purchases. You might burn 1 or 2 cords of wood per winter instead of 5 or 6. You need no electricity, no gas line, no service contracts. The post-war economy was built on consumption. Monthly utility bills, annual furnace maintenance, replacement parts, and service calls. A technology that worked too well and lasted too long was bad for business. Today, a custom masonry heater costs $10,000 to $30,000. Scandinavian soapstone units sell for similar prices. The technology still exists, but it has been priced into luxury territory. What was once common knowledge became a premium product. Number 6. Low ceilings and loft design. Heat rises. Everyone knows this. So why do modern homes have 9-foot ceilings, 10-foot ceilings, vaulted cathedral ceilings that soar 20 feet above the floor? Because they look impressive, and because selling you more air to heat is profitable. World War II era cabins rarely exceeded 7 or 8 feet at the ceiling. Many featured even lower loft spaces where family members slept. The warmest air in the house collected exactly where sleeping bodies needed it most. The mathematics are simple. A room with 8-foot ceilings contains about 15% less air volume than the same room with 9-foot ceilings. That is 15% less air your heating system must warm. But the real advantage is stratification. In a low-ceiling room, warm air has nowhere to escape. It stays close to human level. In a vaulted ceiling, warm air rises 20 feet above your head while your feet freeze on the floor. Modern solutions include ceiling fans to push warm air down, expensive HVAC zoning systems, radiant floor heating to counteract the cold lower levels. Or you could just lower the ceiling. World War II builders did not have money for complicated solutions. They had common sense. Keep the ceiling low, sleep in the loft, let physics do the work. We traded efficiency for aesthetics, and we pay for it every winter. Number 7. Vestibule airlock entries. Open the front door of a modern home. What happens? Cold air rushes in. Warm air rushes out. Your furnace kicks on to replace the lost heat. Now imagine opening a door into a small enclosed space. You close that door behind you, then you open the second door into the warm house. The cold air stays trapped in the vestibule. The warm air stays inside. This is called an airlock entry, and it was standard construction throughout cold climate regions until the mid-20th century. The physics are based on air density. Cold air is heavier than warm air. When you open a single door, cold air pours in along the floor, while warm air escapes along the ceiling. The exchange is nearly complete within seconds. A vestibule prevents this exchange. The small buffer zone acts as a thermal barrier. Even a space as small as 4 feet by 4 feet makes a measurable difference. The University of Alaska Geophysical Institute documented this phenomenon. They call it a cold trap entrance. The design is standard in Arctic construction, yet most American homes built after 1950 eliminated vestibules entirely. Open floor plans demanded grand entrances. Mudrooms became closets. The airlock disappeared. We forgot that doors are holes in your insulation. Every opening is an opportunity for heat loss. Strategic window placement. Modern architects love windows. Floor-to-ceiling glass, window walls, skylights everywhere. World War II builders treated windows like wounds. Necessary but dangerous. Here is the reality. Even the best modern windows have an R value of 3 to 5. Your walls have an R value of 13 to 21. Every window is a thermal weak point. Historic builders understood this. They followed strict rules about window placement. South-facing windows were larger. They captured passive solar heat during winter, when the sun tracks low across the southern sky. That free heat offset the thermal penalty of the glass. North-facing windows were small or non-existent. The north side receives no direct sunlight. Windows there only lose heat. They never gain it. East and west windows were moderate. Morning and evening sun provides some benefit, but summer overheating becomes a risk without proper shading. This is called passive solar design. It was standard practice for thousands of years. Roman architects wrote about it. Colonial builders followed it instinctively. After World War II, cheap energy made orientation irrelevant. Builders positioned homes for street appeal, not solar gain. Windows went wherever they looked best. The result, homes that fight against the sun instead of working with it. A simple 90-degree rotation during construction costs nothing, but it can reduce heating needs by 10 to 25% forever. We stopped paying attention. The sun did not stop shining.
8 secrets. Earth sheltering that costs nothing and lasted generations. Sod roofs that breathed with the seasons. Log walls that stored heat for hours. Central chimneys that radiated warmth in all directions. Masonry heaters that burned with 90% efficiency. Low ceilings that kept warm air where humans needed it. Vestibule entries that trapped cold air outside. Strategic windows that harvested free solar heat. None of this was complicated. None of it required advanced technology. None of it demanded expensive materials. It required only observation, attention to how heat actually moves, respect for techniques refined over centuries. After World War II, America chose a different path. We chose cheap construction and expensive energy. We chose aesthetics over efficiency. We chose monthly bills over permanent solutions. The building industry preferred customers who needed products, insulation that degraded, furnaces that required service, utility connections that generated revenue. A home that heated itself was bad for business. But here is the truth: they cannot change. The sun still shines from the south. The earth below the frost line still holds 55 degrees. Heat still rises. Thermal mass still stores energy. The physics never changed, only our memory did. Maybe it is time to remember